City of San Angelo, birthplace of me. When thinking of San Angelo, what are a few things that come to mind? Community, diversity, live music, and agriculture. That right there is my dad, one of the best cowboys I know. With the city full of life, you would think it has a substantial amount of growth. But is that true? Taking a look at the north side of town, we have gang violence, poverty, and homelessness, while on the south side we have prosperity, community, and revenue invested. So which side should we start on? North side of town is where I would say had the most impact of my life. People on this side of town are just trying to survive, but are very kind and generous. If you want to have a cookout, they got you covered for sure. In the 27 years I've been alive, this side of town has not really changed, and it is the original beginning of town expansion. This side also showcases the famous Coliseum, which if you don't know is home to the rodeo every year or the famous car show that we know and love. It is also home to a lot of local restaurants, which has some of the best meals this town has to offer, from Senior Chang's and their crazy good Asian cuisine to Lone Star Cheeseburger and their tasty burgers, which if you don't know, Tim Condon, who owns this amazing eatery, also owns Angry Cactus. But while this side is very lively, it's also home to gang relation. From 9th Street to about 30th Street, we have shootouts, gang violence, drugs, and domestic disturbances. I think truly that this side of town is very looked down on, and even myself describing it sounds very distasteful. Whenever I say gang violence or gang relation, it's not that disturbing. Why do people join gangs? Why do people sell drugs? Is it because there's such a poverty line in the mix that they have to find out ways to survive? See, whenever you talk about gang violence and gang relation, a lot of people assume a negative connotation. A lot of it is just not true. It's just how people were brought up that make this side of town what it is. And honestly, it's pretty interesting to see this community come together over such a negative experience such as poverty. And the way local media such as SA Live, for an example, uses this side of town as a plebeian side of town is very much not true. We should be asking, why are people shooting each other? Or the next question would be, why is this side becoming less fortunate? And like I said, a lot of it has to do with poverty. It's just becoming a poorer side of town. The more town expansion you have, the less one side of town gets revenue. And you see, the Lone Wolf Bridge can be a prime example of this. While it is littered with graffiti, and I have to add that some of this graffiti is done pretty well, it has not been properly maintained like it is supposed to. And that is because the north side of town is not really looked at. However, the historical downtown has been properly maintained, and I will give them that. People move on. People don't want to see the historic side of San Angelo. I do have to say, if it wasn't for San Angelo Live reporting issues like one side of town or the south side of town trying to get money by taking it from the north side of town, then I wouldn't be able to make this video. So the question is, what can we do about this problem? The clear answer to this is people are not being heard. There has been numerous meetings where citizens spoke out but were deterred away. Poverty continues to rise, and we see more and more homeless.
Just as we have seen the success of moving forward on the Salvation Army shelter, having city involvement in our work to help our homeless neighbors is crucial. We are still hoping that a homeless task force will be created and that the city will have a hand in that work of that body. I hope that on the next council agenda, we can have a longer time to discuss the work being done in San Angelo for our homeless community.
Homelessness are your everyday citizens that lost their house, lost their job, could not make ends meet. And we have such a negative connotation around homelessness as well. So the next question is, why? Town expansion. While the north side is facing rot and poverty, the south side is in a prosperity phase. Each month, I've seen more and more homes being built near the lake or in higher end communities like the country club. And with houses like this being built near the Bentwood Country Club, you can assume that that community of people are not very happy with these houses. But it's not just the south side where new homes are being built. Go back to the north side and you can see gentrification happening. Buying land or rundown homes at a cheap price and stripping the culture to increase profit, which in return increases property taxes for the poor and poverty. Oops, did I say property taxes? Property taxes have become a focal point of San Angelo. If you ask any citizen around, a lot of them complain about property taxes and why they are so high. We don't like to hear that our property taxes are as high as a Californian. And with the mayor having their own controversy.
Well, you made me a clickbait issue, and I think you owe me an apology for that, quite honestly.
Mayor, the news media does not sleep. But
it should do journalism that supports a headline. And that headline was unfortunate relative to what was going on in the entire city.
Well, people were talking about it, and I want to get to the bottom of it because I think I proved what happened.
We can see why citizens are not happy with their current outcome. And while we're speaking on property taxes, have you seen the contracts that the city has signed with Republic Services? Each year, they were set to raise the monthly rate. So anytime you get a water bill and you notice that your monthly rate from Republic Services has gone up, it is due to this contract that the city has signed. And this information can be found on the City of San Angelo's website. It's not anything secret, but it's tucked away where people cannot really find it. It's not really gone, it's just hidden. With our wonderful city council who listens to all citizens and not greed.
Such a thing as an incorrect interpretation by experts of the law, just so you'll know. And that's what's happening here.
Okay, so you're the experts, so you've had legal training, I'm sure. I take it you've had legal training.
I'll go ahead and get someone at a higher level.
You do that, sir.
I absolutely will.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you, sir, but at this point,
I'm
you're coming up
with
here
you.
you're making
facts.
allegations that are false, and
No.
I just want to make sure that I make that very clear to the public, okay?
Well, my allegations will be borne out, and I'll be completely vindicated.
All communities should prosper. Going back to the south side of town, because I don't want to leave such a negative connotation around this side of town. These people are very lovely. This community are very welcome. It's not something that should be negative. Some donate to good causes. Actually, a lot of them donate to the north side of town to help it stay afloat. And a lot of these folks in this area are very generous. They will share anything if you ask and are very warm and welcoming, like I've said. Just because someone has a nice house or car doesn't always mean that they look down on the less fortunate. I would go as far as to say that this community offers some type of assistance on the downtrodden. And that is very much true. A lot of the nonprofits you see around town are started from somebody more wealthy. So earlier in this documentary, I said people are not being heard, but what people are refusing to listen. Clearly, the citizens of San Angelo are looking out for one another. And when the taxes shot up in the beginning of 2023, we saw this on live stream. So with that conclusion, you would have to say it's the city themselves that are not listening to its community. See, people in this town want a voice. We have roads with massive potholes that damage our vehicles, and with those extra expenses of repairs, we still have to come up with the money of mortgages and these ugly property taxes. Or what about certain parts of the city not being properly maintained? Or even the most controversial one that hit in 2021, our water supply not being maintained. What is all of our tax dollars going to? And that is the true question that citizens have. It is examples like this that bring the community together, and for them to properly ask questions as to why tax dollars are not being allocated correctly. You could say around 2020, which was whenever the pandemic began, I have noticed multiple instances of people coming together, fighting for what is right. All classes, low, middle, and high, speak about the same dang thing. When you walk into a grocery store or get a drink at a convenience store, people are always talking about, my property taxes are too high. Prices of food have gone up. I don't know how the younger generation will make it. How am I going to support my kids and my grandkids with the way property taxes are? This type of coming together as a community makes San Angelo so desirable. It's not just about the historical attractions bringing in tourists, it's about the diversity and community. From college students to retirement homes to military aid, we have it all in this little town. And art is such a good way to represent this. Take all of the art around downtown. People don't come to just see the art, they want to feel the art. They want to feel the community behind it, the person that made such lively images. How we came together in one moment to create such a beauty is what people come to see.
And it is art rooms like this in San Angelo that really showcase what San Angelo is about and the people that live here. And this art can be found not just in this one area in downtown, it can be found around San Angelo.
And that is why it is important to be heard. We want to keep San Angelo a beautiful community. Greed and profit should not be the factor in voices. And like I said, it's not the community of people that are the problem, it is the city not listening to us as a whole. We want fairness. We want kind and caring and compassion for the simple folks of San Angelo. And that should be top priority. We have lovely attractions like the community center and the waterfall downtown with the community center. We have such amazing food. A lot of local community around makes such amazing food. And most importantly, lovely people. These people are all very kind and generous, and yes, we can get on each other's nerves while driving through the city of San Angelo, but if you see a wreck happen, you will see somebody get out of the vehicle and try to help as much as possible. And that is what makes San Angelo such an interesting city.